Gas rúnach teanas na ALBA Ali Collins suas les bors Jimmy Chalora, ach Cluinnidh farpa sich aiche, haring shingi gan a Christian tennis.
I think my dad just signed me up for the local sort of lessons. I was into all sports, so I was just kind of getting stuck in with a lot of different things, and then jumped into the lessons at Stirling University, and then it just went from there really. I was such a competitor. And I guess around maybe 11 when we went like our first trip to play like one of the biggest events in Europe, that was kind of maybe where I was like, okay, this is, we're up there, this could be fun, like this could maybe be a career for me. But I think it wasn't until maybe more when I was like 14, 15 when I went to America to train there, that's when I was more like, yeah, this is what I want to do with my life.
Y Janjan Daland, va grushaw nud nach ro Ali, go meesalid in spars. Hoek unia machi korum smurnjuchug, is chevaier son ein van driach.
I think in hindsight, at the time it was very much, I don't like the sport, I've fallen out of love with it, but now in hindsight it's more I fell out in love with the environment. I didn't find a place where I felt like at home, like this was my base, this is where I could train out of and then go and compete. It was very much like I would go and try and find somewhere to train and then go and compete and then go back somewhere else to try and find somewhere to train. So it was a constant travel and I never came back to like a base almost. So that kind of, and that's when my anxieties around traveling started, I think. So it got to the point around then where it just got a bit much for me and I just really wasn't enjoying myself, really struggling being away from my mum and my dad and my brother. And I thought, no, like I'm gonna call it quits for like a period of time and let myself sort of reassess and have a think about what I want to do. It was massive for me. It's totally changed my career and the path that I went down. It gave me time to think and reassess. And in that period, I kind of spoke to my parents and the big, people in my career at that point. And that's when I decided to switch it up a little bit and go more down the doubles route, which I think has been a great change and really refreshing, and I'm really enjoying it. So I think that was, that massively helped me.
Glúis Ali gan Spain, gus leisach gyfarach gain, ac ba eich di deilig dys y dŵl on y pafwa, fi is falaf hwn y carachin agus chewlwch eichie.
The guys over in Spain, Soto Tennis Academy are amazing. The coaches, the environment, that's probably the first place that I got that real connection with a coach. And that was just after I'd taken time away from the sport. So I really needed to find that. And they almost kind of turned, my career in that moment, which was amazing. But again, it was like I had to leave home, had to leave friends and family. And that's always just been a bit of a struggle for me. But they definitely, made it welcoming for me. And that was the norm as well. A lot of, all the girls before me from Scotland who played or wanted to play professionally had to go abroad to train. It's probably the biggest obstacle I've had to overcome in the sport is just the constant travel, constant being away from home. There's no on and off season. It's just a constant, competing all the time. So it's definitely something that I've struggled with. I've got a very close family as well. Being away from them is definitely not easy. But I think, again, it's just something, as I'm getting older, I'm getting a bit more tolerance for, I'm getting a bit more used to, and realising that I don't have long in the sport probably. Realistically, we don't have that many years being able to play tennis physically. So it's just like trying to seize that and be grateful for that time that we do have.
As je wiki glúis at good tennis dùbailte, han spars at the eerste kort of the alley, agus I smungen gevid an tarachushin, taich and driach.
I think there was a few reasons. I think one of them was definitely the enjoyment factor. I want to, tennis is a really lonely journey. It's long, it's hard, so you need to enjoy what you're doing, especially in the sport. So that was like a big factor. I knew I enjoyed doubles. I've always enjoyed doubles, and I've always kind of seemed to gravitate towards it. And I think my skill set's probably more within the doubles game. I'm more comfortable at the net. I'm a team player. So all those things kind of just matched up. And then a big reason as well was a big passion of mine is to inspire and encourage those young girls to play tennis and to get involved in sport in general. And to do that, I knew I needed a platform and to get out there and be visible for them. So for me, that was a big driver as well.
Ha Ali and Dochus gebien as haar exemplar, gus Cluinnidh of Rosnikog is on tennis iachain. as he cwtioch y geiri iddyn spors barach y gianw, gwrs Cluinnidh y chwmal sy game.
Yeah, it's massive, it's so important, and like I said, a massive passion of mine is to get more girls playing, to encourage them to pick up a racket, play sport, and I think having female role models, female coaches, that's huge. But I also think for tennis, it's keeping those girls in the sport. Once we've got them in, it's actually keeping them and not losing them to other sports, which I think is always tricky because tennis is very individual, it's very competitive, whereas maybe, you know, more team sports are a bit more fun. So I think tennis needs to work on that and become more, I always felt it's too selective, too young. So when I was like 13, 14, there was maybe like a group of 10, but then it windows down to a group of 3 because they've been selected. But what happens to the other group of 7? They kind of think, oh, well, I've not been supported, or I'm not as good as others, so I'm just going to stop playing, sort of thing. Whereas if those 10 had stayed in, it would have made my journey a lot more enjoyable as well, because I'd had my friends there, would have been able to travel together. So I think that's massive. For me, it's got to be more, you know, more players for longer periods of time, not so selective so soon.
A siwig I ein siachat et na bachgi yn sydriach, a ada ali gajera et tennis is ears on ein gadash gwn y farpish yn mora.
My goal is definitely to get back to Wimbledon as a senior and compete there. Be playing at the WTA events is my dream. You know, I think we all have had that dream from a very young age, and it's still there, and I'm driving towards that. So, but I think in the time being, it's just getting a lot of matches under my belt. I've had a really difficult few years with injuries and, like I said, training environments and stuff. So I think this year is key, just to get out there, compete, play a lot of matches and gain confidence again. And yeah, hopefully at some stage be playing at those big events.